should I go ahead and get started, or are you still admitting people?
We'll see who shows up, but
Okay.
I just hit the record button. So welcome everybody to weekly webinars with Chico Start. Started putting on some weekly webinars just to share some information that we put on through Chico Start. We're a tech startup incubator, but we also deal with the community with outreach, especially now during the pandemic, is to reach out to other small businesses that may need to collaborate and find resources to make sure that their doors stay open, they can pay their employees, that they can keep going with our pandemic right now, especially now that we're in our third wave and shutdown. It's more important than ever to share these ideas, and I want to say thank you to partnering with Janelle with the SBA, and then also the Women's Business Center at Jedi. We have Natalie Ortiz today helping us with cash flow management. So thank you guys for stepping up and volunteering your time, that we can share this information with everyone, and that we can record it and keep sharing it throughout the next couple weeks, because it's still going to be very important. So Natalie, you have the floor. You can run the presentation and I'll be admitting people. And then when we're done with Natalie, Janelle is going to talk about the current situation with the SBA and different programs that are going on and keep us up to date. So the floor is yours, Natalie.
Great, thank you so much. Hi everybody, thanks for joining us this morning for our presentation on cash flow management. Like Timothy said, my name is Natalie Ortiz. I own a small bookkeeping business based in Mount Shasta, California, and I am also a business consultant and QuickBooks specialist with the Women's Business Center at Jedi. We have a lot of amazing resources available to small business owners, such as classes and workshops. We offer one-on-one business consultations, as well as assistance with business planning and loan applications. Just some housekeeping for the webinar. Go ahead and take notes as needed. The screen size options apply more to Zoom. I didn't realize we were going to be in Google Meet today. So hopefully you're familiar with that. Go ahead and any questions that you have, type into the chat and we can address those after the presentation. And most importantly, just enjoy the webinar and apply it to your business. Okay, today we are discussing cash flow management. We're going to learn a little bit about what is cash flow and why it's important. We're going to discuss strategies to improve and manage your cash flow in your business. And then I'm going to do a demonstration in Excel. I'm going to show you how to analyze and forecast your cash flow. What is cash flow? Essentially, cash flow is the money coming into and going out of your business. Some examples of cash coming in is going to be sales of products or services. Cash coming in can also be interest income, say from a savings account. Grants or loans. I know that we saw a lot of this during this COVID time, a lot of COVID resources available to businesses. And then this can also be investment from the owners. So this could be an infusion of cash from your personal savings or possibly from another job. Examples of cash going out, these are going to be our general operating expenses, such as rent or utilities. These can also be payments on loans or owner's draw, which is the owner taking money out of the business. Okay, why is it important to be aware of your cash flow? Maintaining the awareness of your cash flow is going to help you identify problems and hopefully solve them before cash flow issues happen. When you have money coming into your business, that's a positive cash flow. When you have more money going out of your business than coming in, that's called negative cash flow and can present a real problem in your business, especially if that's an ongoing trend. Your money needs cash to run. You cannot pay your bills or your employees if you don't have cash to do that. Okay. Ways that we can improve cash flow. These are just a few basic ideas. The first one, cut costs. Look at what you're spending each month. Maybe you have some subscriptions that you don't need to be paying for anymore. Shop around. Maybe you can get a better deal on your phone or internet plan. And then another thing that I saw some clients doing during the beginning of the COVID shutdown is negotiating your lease. See if you can pay your landlord less for a couple months to improve that cash flow and try to get your business back on its feet. The key piece here is just to communicate with your vendors. Okay, another idea, cash in on assets. So our assets can be our inventory. If you have a bunch of inventory sitting around, try running a promotion or a sale to turn those assets into cash. Another idea is if you have a piece of equipment sitting around your office that you're not using anymore, that can also be turned into cash. We can also consider our office space or retail space an asset. If you have a corner of your office that you're not using, you could try renting that out to another business owner to generate some cash inflow. Or you could try renting out part of your retail space. Another suggestion is to stay on top of your invoicing. So this is really important. Invoicing is what happens when you don't get paid up front for the services or products that you offer to your clients or customers. We want to incentivize our clients to pay us on time, so maybe you offer them a bit of a discount if they pay before the invoice is due. We could also charge a late fee for any late payments. The key piece here is that you want to make sure that your invoices are being paid on time. The longer those invoices sit, the harder it's going to be to collect on those, and the more time you're going to have to spend reaching out to those clients to get paid. Okay, the last suggestion here is delaying payments to vendors. So take advantage of those terms. If your vendors are offering you net 30 days to pay, that's 30 extra days that you can keep that cash in your business to help that cash work for you. If you don't have terms with your vendors, try talking to them, see if they'll extend you that credit for 30 days. The important thing here is to take advantage of this, but don't abuse it. If your vendors notice that you're constantly paying late, they may retract those terms, which could be detrimental to your cash flow. Okay, so next we're going to hop into Excel, and I'm going to do a quick demo on how we can analyze and project our cash flow. Typically, if you're using a bookkeeping system such as QuickBooks Online or Wave, you can run a statement of cash flow directly from the program. I do want to point out here that it is incredibly important to make sure that the data that's going into your bookkeeping system is accurate. That way you know that your reports coming out of the system are also accurate. You can also create an Excel spreadsheet to track your income and expenses and cash flow. I definitely, as a small business owner, prefer a cloud-based accounting system. It really cuts down on the time that you're spending entering data. And there are free alternatives available online, such as Wave, which I find really helpful. Okay, so analyzing. The importance of analyzing, we can look at our historical information, and that can help you identify patterns, such as if you have maybe a busy season when you can expect more of a cash inflow. Forecasting, like we mentioned before, this helps you identify any future problems. By knowing about these problems before they present themselves, it gives you more of an opportunity to think of solutions to your cash flow issues. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys a demonstration in Excel, so give me just one moment. Can everybody see the Excel spreadsheet that I just pulled up?
I can.
And I can't see your faces, so if somebody just wants to hop in and say yes, that would be helpful. This is my first time using Google Meets.
I can see it fine.
Yeah, I can see too.
Thank you, guys. Alrighty. So this is a sample cash flow. This is something that I exported from QuickBooks Online. We can see at the top here, this is a sample retail company. So let's assume that this is a brick and mortar shop. Name of the report, statement of cash flows. We can see from this date range that this is for 1 month. So this is our data from October of 2020. At the top here, we can see that we have our starting cash. We began the month with $13,800 in cash. This next section here, this is our operating activities. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this as small business owners. This is the net income from our profit and loss statement. Essentially, that profit and loss is going to be a record of our income for the month as well as our expenses. Sometimes you'll see a statement of cash flows that has the entire profit and loss report at the top, but for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to use that net income number. So here we can see in October of 2020, we had net income of $2,000, so we're going to add that to our cash for the month. Down below here, I want to point this out. These are our investing activities. This is typically going to be information that we see on our balance sheet. So it's not going to show up on our profit and loss. Here we can see that we made inventory purchases of $2,000, so that's going to negatively affect our cash balance. But I do want to remind you that inventory can be turned over for cash. That's why we consider it an asset. We can also see that we purchased a fixed asset during this month, so that is also going to negatively affect our cash flow. Perhaps we purchased a new point of sale system or some piece of equipment for our business. Okay, so next line down, we can see that the net cash provided by our investing activities was negative $5,000. Okay, the next section down here are financing activities. Those are also balance sheet accounts. Those are not going to show up on our profit and loss statement. We can see that we made a payment on a loan of $200. And we can also see that the owner took their draw for the month of $2,500. So again, the net cash provided by those financing activities was a negative amount. It's negatively affecting our cash flow. The net cash decrease for the entire period was that $5,700. So we can see if we take away $5,700 from $13,800, we're left with $8,100 in cash at the end of October. So again, this is just the statement of cash flows for 1 month. The next report that I want to show you, this is the statement of cash flows by month. Okay, so we're looking at data month by month. I know that this looks like a lot of information, but we're going to go through it piece by piece. Here we can see that the date range here is the beginning of October for 2019 through the end of October for 2020. So we have over a year of data here. This is really useful for looking at any trends in our cash flow. Okay, off to the left-hand side here, we can see that we have those same categories. We have our operating activities, investing and financing, as well as our starting cash and our ending cash. Okay, I just want to point a few things out here. Some trends that we're looking for. We can see that our sales increased in November and December, so we can assume that that's our busy season, probably holiday shopping. It looks like during the months of January through March, our sales decreased, so we could consider that our slow season. I also want to point out April through June, this is when our business was really being affected by COVID. We have negative, we have a net loss on our profit and loss for those months, so negative cash flow. Okay. Getting into our investing activities, we can see our inventory purchases, which would take the cash away from the business. That's cash going out. And then we can also see down here in our financing activities, we had an infusion of cash through a loan in June. So that would be anything like the economic injury disaster loan, maybe it was the Paycheck Protection Program, anything like that. So that's going to increase our cash for the month. And then we've also got our owner's draw here. Okay, so that's our historical data here. We're analyzing our cash flow month by month. The last report that I want to show you is the cash flow projection. And so this is looking into the future. We're going to identify any problems with our cash flow that we might anticipate. Okay, same up here. We've got our sample company. Name of the report is our cash flow projection. And if you're using like a cloud-based accounting system or QuickBooks Desktop, for example, this should be something that you can do in that program. For these purposes, we export it to Excel. Okay. Our date range, we are working with October 1st of 2020, so we've got our actual data from October. And we're looking about 7 months into the future, so we want to look through to the end of May. You could also do this for the entire year. If you're just starting your business, you may want to do this for the first 2 to 3 years. My colleague at Jedi, Nina, informed me that this is really good information for a business plan, or it may be something that a bank wants to look at if they want to give you a loan. Okay, so let's get into the meat of this. Again, I want to point out that these are the same columns on the left-hand side for our different activities from the business. If we're forecasting, that means that we're looking into the future and we're taking a guess as to what's going to happen. I do want to point out that it's important to be conservative in our guesses so that we're not overshooting our mark. Okay, so we're going to focus on our net income first. What are we imagining our net income is going to be? We know that by looking at our historical data, we tend to have increased sales in November and December due to the holiday shopping. But we also know that we are in time of COVID right now. And so we want to anticipate that our sales are not going to be as robust as they were last year. So we know that we had 7,000 in November and 10 in December. So let's go ahead and shoot kind of low. We're going to shoot for a little less than half of that for each of those months. We also know that our sales tend to dip after the holidays, so January through March will be pretty low. Let's go ahead and plug $1,000 in net income. And so I want to remind us that that's our total income for the business after our expenses have been taken out. Okay. The nice thing about Excel is we can go ahead and just drag this number across. So let's anticipate that we're going to have about $1,000 in net income for January through March. And then in April, we can assume that those sales might start to increase. But again, we're going to be conservative here. Okay. We can see that we made our inventory purchase in October, and that we're going to hope is going to get us through these busy months. We're being conservative, so we don't want to invest a bunch of money into inventory. Starting in April, let's say that we do want to invest in our spring and summer inventory. So we're going to put that negative 2,000 in there. That demonstrates money going out of the business. Our cash is flowing out of our business. Okay. We don't anticipate any purchases of fixed assets in the near future, but it always is a possibility. It's nice to have a little bit of that cushion in case an emergency purchase comes up. Okay, now we're moving down into our financing activities. So our loan payable. We have been paying $200 a month on our loan. That is above the minimum payment, but it's going to help reduce our interest expense on that loan. So let's go ahead and pull that number across because we know we have that as a monthly payment. We also know that our typical owner's draw is that $25 a month, so we're going to pull that over as well. Okay, so now we've got our cash flow projection for through May of 2021. Let's take a look at those cash balances. We know that we started October of 2020 with $13,800 in the bank. So when I say bank, that's cash that we have on hand, our checking account, savings account, any of those cash assets that we have. And if we look over for ending cash, at the end of May 2021, if everything moves forward and is similar to what we have laid out here, we can expect to end May of 2021 with $1,200 in the bank. And we know that that is not a very strong cash position for our business, okay? So we can look at some of our strategies for improving our cash flow here. What we want to do first is look at cutting costs. We know that we've been paying more than the minimum on our loan, so we can look at reducing that loan payment per month to the minimum, which is, we'll say that's $100. So let's pull that across. We've reduced one cost there. We can also look at reducing our owner's draw as well. So let's say that the owner takes $1,000 a month instead of that normal $2,500. Go ahead and pull that across as well. The nice thing about Excel is that all of these are, there's formulas in each of these cells so that we can see exactly what's happening here. And now we're going to analyze that cash flow again. Okay, we've got that $13,800 over here for the beginning of October. These are our actual numbers. And if everything goes well and according to plan, we can expect to end May in a much stronger cash position with that $12,400 here. And so that would be a good number moving us forward, getting us into summer. Hopefully our summer season is good. We can expect to have cash flow to carry us through. Okay, and I know that this looks like it's a lot of data, it's a lot of numbers, but this is a really good project to reach out to the WBC or your local business center to ask for assistance with. This is something we'd love to help you with. Okay, so that is what I've got there. Do we have any questions?
There was one in the chat.
Okay.
They wanted to know, are these 3 Excel spreadsheets with formulas available as a template to share?
Yes, I can send these out. Do we collected emails that I can forward to?
Yeah, everything's through Eventbrite, so I do have everyone's email addresses.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can have these spreadsheets distributed. for you to use. They're pretty basic, and so what you can do is if you need to add extra columns, you can just go ahead and add those.
So they were asking, are the formulas exported? I think in QuickBooks they do export the formulas in the spreadsheets, but
Yeah,
not
I
all
believe so.
platforms. So be careful if someone sends you a PDF. If you convert it to a spreadsheet, the formulas probably won't be there, in my past experience. But also know that you should understand formulas, and when you add and delete items, that you check all the numbers going down the columns, because you can give you some false readings. Especially when you sit in front of your wife or your partner and they go, "What is this? This doesn't add up."
Yeah, it can definitely take some time to kind of like refigure if you're going to be adding.
But I really appreciate you sharing those, because that's actually the fun part sometimes, is taking a look at what you can do and how you can help yourself, and looking into the future of what's going to happen, just how it is right now. And sometimes you don't want to see those numbers, but I think sitting down and taking the moment and talk to someone in your business or a partner, and reaching out to Jedi and saying, "Hey, this is overwhelming for me, and I do need some support. I do need some guidance right here," because I think just having that person or that place to go to helps you make that step and makes you realize the things that you really need to do, and have those resources. And I think that's a big thing right now, that people need to know that there are resources and help out here to help you get that first step done. Just to realize, one, being here to realize like, hey, I need to look at this, and then two, like, ooh, I don't really know a lot about spreadsheets, but there are people out there are just setting up the books correctly, so you can use those proper reports. So I'd like to say thank you, Natalie, for your time.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it looks a little bit, it can be overwhelming, but I also think it's really empowering to know what's going on with your cash flow in your business, so that you can make those informed decisions moving into the future, especially during the time of crisis that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way that we can have that power in our business.
And also it helps you prepare yourself for the loans coming up. You understand your cash flow. You understand the terms and the materials and the documentation required to apply for some of these loans, and have that ready, because you may not have taken advantage of any of the SBA or the PPP or the IDL loans, but you may need to do it in the future. So preparing yourself and understanding these items is crucial right now.
Exactly. We actually saw some clients that weren't able to access that funding based on, they didn't have their numbers together, they didn't have their books together. So I really want to encourage everybody here, like, take this downtime, get on your bookkeeping. It's gonna be valuable for you moving forward.
And it's just a good business practice to stay on top of what's going on. And I think a lot of companies in the past, well, being here in Northern California and Paradise, and smaller businesses, and just having disasters, a lot of people have a business just to turn dollars for their own lives. I mean, they weren't in it to make huge profits. They weren't in it to do things. I mean, you want to have a business, you want to have your write-offs, you're going with the flow, but all of a sudden that flow is not going to help you get the loan that you needed, because you're just running with the day-to-days, and it's just flowing on its own. So this is a real eye-opener for everyone to say, ooh, I shouldn't have taken a loss the last 3 years when I could have made profit.
Definitely. And I think now, like, I know for one, like, Wave Apps is a relatively robust, free, cloud-based accounting system. There's really no reason for any business owner to not have their books up to date and able to run these reports. It's so easy to just connect your bank account to your cloud-based system and have your transactions come in. It's so easy to categorize. Again, this is a service that we at Jedi are able to provide. If you need assistance setting up your bookkeeping, going over your workflows, just checking in around, am I doing everything right?
Awesome.
Some really helpful services available to small business owners.
And can you do it online outside of your region, or do they have to be within a certain demographic area?
Typically, we service like the Northern California, but recently we've been seeing clients from Florida, from the East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys put out a lot of great information and good speakers, and we love sharing your information on our weekly webinar posts and just putting them out there because there's some awesome stuff.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions? I mean, I'm just talking because I like this stuff. I'm a dork.
It's assuming not using QuickBooks, but wanting to set up a customized Excel spreadsheet. We have one that we work with that I can send out as well, in addition to that cash flow management, if you're not wanting to set up cloud-based. But like I said, at this point, there is free software available that is comparable to QuickBooks. And so if that's something that you're wanting to get a little bit more one-on-one guidance with, we're available to consult with you on that, as far as the benefits of moving into the cloud-based system and also how to do that.
Are there any? I'm sorry. On those appointments or reaching out to you, how long are the typical appointments? Are you restricted to like a 45-minute timeline? I'm just working with different organizations in the past. I know it's like you come in, you get 45 minutes or an hour, but you're filling out paperwork. You get a homework assignment that might take you in half a day or something, and you can't talk to you for another 3 weeks because you're booked. I mean, is it a flow of information and creating a relationship, or is it pretty structured on how you go through the motions on helping people, just to give people a thing how long it takes to get something done working?
Definitely. No, I appreciate that question. We definitely like to build relationships with our clients. Typically, like, the registration process will happen before we have a meeting that's done all online. I usually work with clients for an hour. We come up with our to-do list of things to do. I'm available by email between appointments.
Okay.
So if anything small comes up, but yeah, we really like to have that one-on-one relationship with our clients to help them get through whatever issues they're experiencing.
And that's really helpful, because sometimes it's just a small question that just takes like, yeah, that was a right assumption. Keep going, working on the spreadsheet. Because I've worked on spreadsheets in different counselors, and I've spent 3 or 4 days just working on a large project, and then sit down with them. They're like, well, no, this is all wrong. Your assumptions here, where this is wrong, your formula's wrong. And you're like, ah.
Yeah. Especially
you thought you did a good job.
Yeah.
You're like, no, that's not how it works. You're like, okay. So sometimes just being able to reach out and say, hey, can you do a quick review? Am I on the right track? And then that way you keep going and not getting frustrated sometimes, and just past experience.
Yeah, we're trying to remove that frustration and just come up with those key steps of like, do A, B, and C, and then let's come back together and figure out what our next game plan is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really like this.
Natalie, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind if you could speak more broadly about the different services that WBC provides beyond cash flow management, just for those who aren't familiar with your organization.
Definitely, Janelle. We have a really amazing team here at the WBC at Jedi. We have consultants that can work with you on your marketing, digital marketing, website development, any like technical troubleshooting you may have in that arena. We also offer like loan readiness counseling. We've helped many clients with their PPP applications, any grant applications that they may have questions on. I myself personally am available for bookkeeping counseling, helping you get your bookkeeping system set up, reviewing that system. We offer so much. We have a really robust team here. So I would suggest, if anybody would like to check out our services, you guys can go to e-jedi.org, and that'll have our full list of events that we're hosting, our staff, our team. It's a good place to get information.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Janelle.
And I think I'm done with my questions. If anyone else has anything, we'll say thank you to Miss Natalie and the Women's Business Center at Jedi. And then let's bring on Janelle. I know you have a lot of information, and she can go through it really quickly, but I think it gives you a little time to breathe between slides this time. Let me open up the presentation. Get a full screen. Present now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thank everybody for your time. So I'm the lead economic development specialist with the Sacramento District Office of the SBA. For those of you who are familiar with the SBA, we're a federal cabinet level agency that's dedicated to supporting small businesses. The SBA has around 60 different district offices. So our Sacramento district office covers 22 counties, and it goes all the way down to San Joaquin County and then north to the Oregon border, covering the counties that are east of the coastal range. So my presentation, I'll be mindful of the time that we have. I'm going to provide an overview of our programs, our resources, some updates related to the EIDL program for COVID-19, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So with that, I guess we can get started. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, and then it closed on August 8th. So if you could go to the next slide, I have just some reminders. If you do have a PPP loan, just be mindful of the conditions for loan forgiveness so that you're prepared. You want to make sure that you're using those proceeds for eligible costs, so payroll costs and mortgage interest, rent, and utility costs. And then you want to make sure that your employee compensation levels are being maintained to the extent that you can, given public health requirements as they've been changing. And then not more than 40% of the forgiven amount should be for non-payroll costs. Next slide, please. And also just other quick reminders, keep all your documentation, like canceled checks, bank transfer copies, and just be mindful of when you can submit a loan forgiveness application. You can do that at any time before the maturity date, but to defer your payments, you have to do it within 10 months after the last day of your loan's forgiveness covered period. And there's several different forms for forgiveness, and there's a number of factors, if you could go to the next slide, that kind of govern which form would be appropriate for you. You'll get my slides after the presentation, so I'll leave you with this to take a look at later. This can kind of help guide you, but if there's any doubt, go back to the lender where you obtained your PPP loan. That's the advice from SBA. So if this is mystifying, is too detailed, or you just don't fit within these kind of categories, just go back to your lender for clarity. Next, please. We are still offering the COVID-19 economic injury disaster loan. However, this program ends at the end of the year, so December 31st. We're upon that date. It's a working capital loan for debt, payroll, inventory, and other bills for ongoing expenses that you haven't been able to cover because of COVID-19. There's a 30-year term with the amount based on your financial conditions. So it's going to look at those, like Natalie was bringing out in your cash flow statement, those working capital related costs, and then your ability to repay. So that would include taking a look at your credit. There's a 3.75% interest rate for a for-profit company, 2.75% for nonprofits, and you'll apply through this link. So just want to emphasize, if you have any interest in this loan, you want to apply as soon as possible, and the WBC at Jedi can help you with that application process. Next, please. We also offer disaster loans unrelated to COVID-19, such as the disasters that were declared during the wildfire activity in California. And so those loans include physical disaster loans, economic injury disaster loans, and also many people are not aware, there's home disaster loans that are available for renters and for homeowners. There's a 30-year maximum term, nonprofits are eligible. 2.75% is the interest rate for a nonprofit, and it's 3 to 6% for a business. And you would apply online as well through the SBA, but it's a different link than the one in the previous slide, so just take note of that. And this does apply if you have to be in a county where a disaster was declared. Next, please. We have a variety of ongoing loan programs to support small businesses. So there's a microloan program that offers loans of up to $50,000, and that's well suited for a startup or a business with credit issues that doesn't have the cash flow that a typical lender would want to see. It has a shorter term of that's not to exceed 6 years. There's also a 7A loan guarantee program, which is a really flexible product. So the loans can range from $5,000 to $5 million, and it can cover working capital expenses, but also commercial real estate and even export financing. And then there's a 504 loan program for brick and mortar projects. So if you're going to buy land or a building or renovate a building or acquire heavy equipment, which is for purposes of this program defined as equipment with a life of over 5 years or a value of over $100,000. And so I have a link here for more details on our loan programs, because there are some sub-programs under 7A, for instance. There's a wide variety of programs out there that are under kind of these three categories. And then if you are seeking a lender, you could reach out to the WBC, or you could use the link here called Lender Match, which will match you up with lenders that participate in our programs based on your specific capital needs. Next, please. So in addition to our loan programs, we support Resource Partner Network. And so that essentially, what that consists of is nonprofit organizations that are throughout the district and the country that serve small businesses by providing one-on-one consulting and training at no cost. And during the pandemic, these services are provided remotely. The advisors at these organizations can help businesses with an array of needs, whether it's cash flow management, developing a business plan, pivoting your business, exploring digital marketing, exporting, and even HR or commercialization issues. I'll just mention them quickly. So there's a Small Business Development Center network, which has consultants, they're paid consultants with expertise in particular in small business lending, women's business centers, of course, which we discussed in detail during Natalie's presentation. And then there's the Veterans Business Outreach Centers, or VBOC, which provides entrepreneurship support to members of the military or their spouses. And then SCORE, which is an interesting organization. It has volunteer mentors that support small businesses, startups, and established businesses. And they also have a website with free resources. So, for example, they have business plan templates that you can download and use for free. So I have here links where you can find your nearest SBDC, WBC, and VBOC, and then a link to the score.org site where you can access their online resources. Next, please. Just quickly, I want to highlight that so through the CARES Act, there was specific funding provided to SBDCs and women's business centers to support businesses during the pandemic. So and I apologize, I don't have the Jedi WBC on this slide, but Natalie did provide her contact information. So as she had said, they can help you with looking at programs to meet your needs, applying for those programs, also even credit repair if you've been denied, for example, an EIDL loan, or you suspect you'd be denied, they can help you develop a plan to get your credit back on track. So they're here to help during this time. Next, please. So just really quickly, if for those of you who might be in an appropriate industry, it's important to think about federal contracting as a potential market. It is the world's largest customer, and it has by law a goal to purchase from small businesses, and that goal is 23% of all federal contracting dollars. So it's an immense spend opportunity. There's of course financial and operational capacity requirements to consider. So the SBA has information online where you can evaluate your readiness, learn more about the federal marketplace. You want to go to sba.gov/contracting. Next, please. I also want to highlight our federal contracting programs that we manage. We actually have staff at our district office that specifically oversee these programs, and just want to make you aware of them in the case that you might think you could be eligible, I want you to know that they exist and where you can go to find out more information. So first we have an 8A business development program, and it's for socially and economically disadvantaged owned small businesses. It's a 9-year program where you receive technical assistance. It kind of has a phased approach to help you incrementally kind of expand your capacity, your ability to participate in federal contracts, with the goal of federal contracting being a way to diversify your business. And you also get matched up with someone in our office that can help you navigate different agencies and building those relationships. There's the historically underutilized business zones program, which is for businesses that are in low to median household income areas or high unemployment areas, or both. And then there's also designated programs for women-owned small businesses, economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses, and then service-disabled veteran-owned programs. And so if you are interested in those, you think you could qualify, you can learn more by going to certified.sba.gov, because there are, in some of these cases, set-aside awards and sole source award opportunities. Next, please. And so if you do engage in contracting, whether with governments or with the private sector, bonding capacity is often an issue or a requirement. And for those of you that are not in that space, it essentially, bonding is like an insurance which provides coverage if you are not able to perform on that contract. And there are financial requirements for you to be able to get that bonding capacity. And so if you're not able to qualify, it essentially can hinder you from taking advantage of these opportunities. And so our bond guarantee program can enable businesses to access 20 times working capital, and it can provide fairly quick bonding decisions for bonding of smaller amounts. So if you're interested in that, you'll go through an SBA authorized agent, and I have a link here, and you'll go through their underwriting process, which will look as with other underwriting. So they're going to look at your credit capacity and character requirements. Next, please. I also just want to share some additional updates. So the Treasury has information on CARES Act assistance. USDA has additional resources for farmers during the pandemic. And if you're interested in the state level requirements or business resources, you can turn to the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. And I also just want to highlight the California Rebuilding Fund. It's a new program launched by the state. It was launched in mid-November. And it's a loan product that provides loans of up to $100,000. So I just want to have that link out there for you. And then also, it's really important to stay plugged into local grant and loan programs. They come periodically and with really quick application turnaround times and with lots of competition. And so it's really important to stay plugged into your city, your county, your chamber, resource partners. Just as Natalie was mentioning, they can provide assistance with grant applications. Probably a good idea to have get a sense of what documentation is generally needed, and to be able to have content that you could put into a grant application, because those can take a lot of time depending on what type of a grant application it is, especially if it's a government one. So just it's really important to stay abreast of those opportunities and be prepared. Next, please. Also, just it's important to highlight the rise of fraud schemes. So be on the lookout for hoarding, price gouging, and scams like phishing. It's really on the rise, especially during the holiday season. So be watchful. People are definitely trying to take advantage of individuals during this stressful time. And so if you learn about fraud, you see something, say something. And so that includes just general disaster-related fraud or SBA loan fraud. So I have here contacts where you can report that. Next, please. And so finally, I just want to leave you with our contact information. If you need something related to the EIDL program, that program is housed within the Office of Disaster Assistance. I'm in the district office, which is separate, and I don't have access to their loan information. So you would want to turn to them with any questions. So I have detailed contacts for the EIDL program, and then of course our own contacts for the district office. If you go to our website, you can access our calendar of events, where we have events like this one, or events that our resource partners put out individually or that we do individually. It's a great centralized location to access free trainings, and you can get links there to register. So please visit our website, sign up for our newsletter so you can learn about updates as well through that channel. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Janelle.
Sure.
Stop presenting. Turn back online. So anyone with some questions? I know we have gotten some weird letters from people talking about our loan forgiveness and going to the bottom of the emails, or this is not part of your bank, or this is. So really look at the fine print at the bottom of emails. People trying to have you reach out to go over your loan information. I was like, no, this isn't for us. This is someone just reaching out. And we also had from Mechanics Bank a warning that loan grantee information was put out to the media. I guess there was a lawsuit. They wanted to know how many loans were put out there. And that to look out for people reaching out to go over your loan information. So that was from Mechanics Bank saying beware, because they didn't breach the information. They had to let it go. So
as part of like a freedom of information.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I was like, oh no. So we're looking at every email really closely. Like, what is it about? What's it for? We just applied for a grant. The same thing. Like, oh, you didn't fill out your SAMS.gov information correctly. And then if you look at the bottom, this is a sales consulting company. Just so.
Well, thanks for highlighting those. Those are exactly the kind of cases where it's very sophisticated, where they're even responding to something you've just applied to, and so you think it's obviously linked to that, but it's
exactly.
not. So,
You did not. And we submitted the grant last week, maybe the week and a half ago. But saying, oh, you need to finish your application before this goes through. I'm like, oh no, it was all over it. But reading the fine print, you're like, oh, this is an outside sales company, not part of SAMS.gov. So at least that was put in the bottom of the disclaimer. But it looked totally real. Like, I would have called them off the bat and just said, hey, yeah, what's going on? I need to make sure, especially if you're not used to doing grants. How much time we got? 10:52. So we're doing good on time. What's coming up next for both of you on webinars? Are you guys taking a break during the Christmas?
Yeah, we'll be taking a break this is our last week with webinars, and
Okay.
we don't have anything scheduled, I think, until the new year.
Gotcha.
But then all will be normal starting January 1st with our normal programming.
I think ours will be the 7th by the time I get back into the swing of things. Doing back-to-backs.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a break as well for the holidays, and then back in the office at the beginning of January.
But like I said, I think I'm just going to do some reruns and just put links to YouTube videos on some of these items, so people can reach out and take a look at them over the holidays. So I'll be looking at your guys' video libraries.
That's great. Thank you.
I do want to point out, I dropped our Jedi, WBC at Jedi contact information in the chat if anybody.
I saw that. And I will have a recording of this up on our website, so if anyone wants to reach out to me for any information, or I have copies of the slides I can share with everybody as well, or share the contact information also. So I want to say thank you to Janelle, thank you Natalie for your time reaching out to us also to do these. It's been a great pleasure. This is the last one of us for this part of the year, but I think me and Janelle are going to be talking about some more items coming up and schedule them out into the future, because it changes every day around here. Not only in the government, but what's going to be happening, especially this next month. We're all going to find out what's going to happen. So I'm excited to stay tuned and to keep everyone informed out there. So thank you everyone for your time, and hopefully we'll see you next year happy and healthy.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you everyone.